Greetings, and in this short video presentation we're going to see how we go about information gathering using RECON-NG. RECON-NG is a full-featured web reconnaissance framework written in Python, complete with independent modules, database interaction, built-in convenience functions, interactive help, and command completion. RECON-NG provides a powerful environment in which open-source web-based reconnaissance can be conducted quickly and thoroughly. RECON-NG comes pre-installed with Kali, so to launch the program we just open up a new terminal, and at the prompt we type RECON-NG. So at the prompt I've typed in RECON-NG and I hit enter. You'll notice there was a bunch of error messages there at the beginning. You can ignore those. Those are calling on API keys, which we will discuss later in the lab. We can use the help command to get better acquainted with the capabilities of RECON-NG and to see just what commands are available. So if I type in help at the command prompt and I just go ahead and hit enter, we can see all the different commands that are available. RECON-NG comes with over 88 different modules, and to show these modules we can just use the show modules command. I've typed it in, I'm going to hit enter, and now you can see all the different modules that are available. RECON-NG is built much the same way as Metasploit, and it behaves much the same way. So a lot of what we do here is going to look familiar to you if you are familiar with Metasploit. So we're going to begin by introducing the use command. Now in this example, I'm going to use one of the modules called PunkSpider that is going to look for vulnerabilities on a certain host or a certain domain. And it's going to come back and it's going to give us the results. In this example, I've gone to the list of possible modules, found the module that I wanted, highlighted it, and now I'm going to copy it. I'm now going to scroll to the bottom, and I'm going to type in use, and I'm going to right-click and paste what I just copied. Much the same way as it works in Metasploit, the use command does the same thing in RECON-NG, and that is, it loads the module. So I've selected the module that I want to use. I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. Notice it brings me back to the prompt, and my prompt has changed to let me know that I'm using the PunkSpider module. We can get more information about any of these modules by just typing in show info. And you'll notice that we get a description of what PunkSpider actually does. We also see that there's an option. Now this is important because though we've loaded the module for PunkSpider, we have to tell it the name of the domain that we want to scan. Though I already know what the options are, I can again get to the options by just typing in the show options command. So using the show options command, I'm going to find out exactly what it is I have to provide for this particular module to work correctly. And it says I have to provide the source. Just as we set the source with using the set command in Metasploit, we use the same format here in RECON-NG. So I've set the source to use Sony as the domain that I want to scan using PunkSpider. So I've typed in set space source space the name of the domain Sony. Hit enter. Now, just as it is with Metasploit, I can use the run command. Though in the newer versions of Metasploit, to launch a payload we use exploit. But I'm going to go ahead and type in run, and that's going to launch the PunkSpider module, and it's going to begin scanning Sony for exploits. So PunkSpider is looking at anything associated with the Sony domain and looking for certain types of exploits that can be ran. Sony is a large domain, so do give it time. It will take a little while for the scan to complete, but not that long. So PunkSpider is discovering all of these cross-site scripting vulnerabilities that are in existence at this time on these different Sony pages. Once the scan has completed, you will get a summary of the results. You can type in exit to quit the program. Brings you back to the Kali prompt. Again, we can bring up the RECON-NG just by using our up arrow. Hit enter. One of the strengths and the beauties of RECON-NG is the use of various application programming interfaces or APIs to extract useful recon information. For instance, RECON-NG can use Bing, Google, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and other online applications once you get the API key. With that key, you have almost unlimited access to that application. Program developers can go out to these different online sites, such as Bing, Google, Instagram, and they can register for an API key. They just have to create the developer account. And now I'm going to show you exactly how many of these modules will actually take an API key. To see the default list of API keys that can be installed into RECON-NG, just type in the keys list command. There are other ones that you can put in here if you so desire, but this is the default. This covers quite a few of them. So again, if you wanted to be able to have the full access to the API for a Bing search, for instance, or Flickr, you would have to go to that site and you would have to create a developer account. Now, a lot of these API keys are free, and some of them you do have to pay for. But when you get the API key, you have to treat it like a password. You input that into the program, RECON-NG, and that opens up that API and gives you full access to it. In this example, I'm going to use a fake API key for Flickr. And to add this key to the list, I can just use the keys add command. So I've typed in keys space add space Flickr underscore API, and then the number that is assigned to that API. If I hit enter, it tells me that the key for Flickr underscore API was added. Now I won't see it until, one, I have to exit the program, then I come back into the program. Now I do the keys list one more time, and now you'll see that the key is present. Now it's the same thing if I want to delete the key. I can use the keys delete command to remove this key. Let's say I made a mistake, or I have a new key, or for whatever reason I want to remove that key from the list. I can use the keys delete command. Let's see how that works. So I've typed in keys space delete space Flickr underscore API. I'm going to hit enter. Now, just as before, I'm going to have to exit. Let me do that now, and then restart the program for this key deletion to take effect. And again, I'll run the keys list command, and you'll see that the key has been deleted. So the way you go about applying for a developer's key or an API key for RECON-NG is the same as for any other program that requires an API key, but you have to understand that every provider of an API key has a different procedure to go through to acquire the key. So you're going to have to use the internet. Now, this in front of you is the instructions on how to obtain the API key for Flickr. And it goes through it step by step, and it tells you how to get it. But this is just for Flickr. So if you want one for Bing or Google, you're going to have to research and find out what steps you have to go through to make that happen. RECON-NG is a very powerful reconnaissance tool. It has all these wonderful modules, and it's fast becoming one of my favorite information gathering tools. One of the things that you can do with it is you can look for contacts that have been compromised on the internet. Now, we know about a lot of breaches that have happened. We've got Target, we've got others. A lot of people had their contact information compromised. Well, if you're doing a pen test for a client and you want to find out whether or not any of the PGP contacts or any other contacts have been compromised, then you can use RECON-NG to discover this. And now we're going to take a look at how this gets done. To see all the modules that RECON-NG has available just for reconnaissance, we can type in the use space recon / command, and then it brings up all these wonderful modules that you can pull from to gather information about contacts, companies, who is. There's a lot of information here that can be pulled up using all of these different Recon modules. But we're going to concern ourselves with just the contacts. A lot of companies use PGP to encrypt their emails, and this is a pretty good program for doing that. But if the contacts list and the username and password for the PGP program was compromised, let's say that it was found and then posted to an internet site, a torrent site, as part of a hack, then that pretty much makes the program useless. So we need to know if anybody in the organization who's using PGP has been compromised. To do this, we can use the recon/domains-contacts/PGP_search module. So again, we're going to use the use command, and we're going to follow that up with the module that we want to use. In this case, it is the contacts/PGP_search module. So I'm going to go ahead and hit enter, and that's going to load that up for us. If that's the first time that we have ever used this module, we can do the show info command to get some information about it. So it searches the MIT public PGP key server for email addresses of the given domain. It updates the contacts table with the results. So earlier I was up inside of this program looking for contacts that may have been compromised that belong to the NSA. Now we're going to go ahead and change that source over to Pixar.com, and we're going to look for PGP contacts that may have been compromised for this company. We know that Pixar was subject to a security breach, and we want to know if any of the information about their PGP contacts was available or has been posted to the internet. So I'm going to go ahead and set the new source to Pixar.com. I'll hit enter. Now if I do a show options, you'll notice that my source now shows that it is set to Pixar.com. We're now ready to run this particular module, so I'm going to type in run. I hit enter, and in just a moment we'll get some results back from the MIT database server on these PGP contacts. Now if you get the following timeout error message, it means that you need to update your Kali and the Python packages that RECON-NG is calling on. I have provided the commands up inside of the lab file. There's actually 3 of them. You can go there and get the commands after you do the apt-get space update. So after updating my Kali and updating some dependencies that RECON-NG depends on, I was able to get it to work. And after the scan results finished, I found that I had 29 contacts that I located. Now this is a default format that you're looking at here, but we can get plenty more information just by doing the show contacts command. So I've done the show contacts, and now if I just go to full screen, you'll see that this is a nice format to be able to examine exactly how much information I was able to pull up using that particular module up inside of RECON-NG. So we got the first name, we even got some middle names, some last names, their email addresses, and we got it from the PGP search module. So our next task is to see which of these contacts have actually been compromised or breached. To do this, I'm going to change modules over to the contacts credentials /HIBP_breach module. I'm going to go ahead and hit enter with that. Now I'm going to go ahead and just hit run. In just a moment it's going to come back and find some information for me. And it tells me that the following individuals have had their contacts posted, and it also shows you how their information was compromised, what breach occurred that allowed the information to be compromised. And so you get a lot of good information here. So you can see that if you're doing this with an organization and you want to know if any of their confidential contact information has been compromised, well, this is just one way to do it using RECON-NG. That concludes this short video presentation on how we go about using RECON-NG to recon the internet for information gathering about a particular client, a particular domain, or a particular person. If you have any questions or concerns about the contents of this video or this lab, please do not hesitate to reach out and contact your instructor, and I'll see you in my next video.